Welcome to the Karat Juice Podcast. I am your host, Monte Lee, and here in this episode, we're discussing something that's very important. I wanted to talk about and have a real conversation with you today, and I wanted to talk about the importance of purpose. And if you don't have it, how lost you could really be in life. Here at the Karat Juice Podcast, we observe society, we digest it, and through the nuance of it all, we attempt to make progress. Now, I know a lot of people deal with a lot of different obstacles, trials, and tribulations in their lives. We all have things that we're going through. We all have specific weaknesses and strengths. But I've been going through a kind of renaissance in my life, and I wanted to share it with you because I thought this would be impactful. If I'm going to speak for myself, in times where I felt the most indifferent, lost, down, and really unengaged and enthused with life is when I don't have a specific plan and purpose to what I'm doing. Is that you? Are you currently in a situation right now where you don't know what the future holds for you? You're going to a job that you're doing it just to get by, but you really aren't passionate about what you do. You're not even really able to make ends meet. You're feeling like you're lacking that enthusiasm about life right now. If that's you and your situation, I don't want to knock on you, and I don't want to, what's the best way to put it? I don't want to knock you down, because I felt that way in certain things that I've had to do in my life. I've alluded to a couple of times here that I have been laid off twice from my job. And if you don't know, I currently work as a probation officer, but I've been laid off twice. And during that time, those were some of the lowest points in my life, because in that interim time, I'm somebody that's used to financial stability. I'm used to knowing what's going to be coming in and what's going to be going out. And during that time in my life, I had uncertainty. I wasn't sure. I had a couple of months saved up, but I wasn't sure how I was going to get by, because it was unexpected when I got laid off, especially the first time. Right after that happened, I started applying for other jobs and trying to figure out what I was going to do, because at the time, my rent was going to be coming and I only had so much money saved. So you know how it goes. I eventually landed a job. I landed a position doing sales. Okay. The type of sales that I was doing is not for everybody. I was doing direct sales. What is that, you ask? I was going and I was selling a product direct to consumer. I was knocking on doors to get it. During that season of my life, I call it that season of my life was all about productivity, development, and growth, and being uncomfortable, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I was going and I was making less than I had ever made. I was making way less than I was making in my career. But what I will say is, in those 6 or 7 months that I was doing that, direct selling and knocking on doors, I faced more rejection than I have in my entire life. And you want to know something? It helped me more than you could ever know, because I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think a lot of people lose that. I think that's what's been lost more so than anything when it comes to our nature as human beings. I think that once you realize what you're capable of and what you can do, you'll start to realize that being one of the worst places you can be at in life and one of the worst states you can be in is feeling like everything's taken care of. You got nothing else to do. You got enough money. And then you're just indifferent, lack enthusiasm in life. That moment, those tough times actually helped to harden and condition me to be successful moving forward, because I wasn't afraid of rejection. I wasn't afraid of getting the door slammed in my face. I had to do what I had to do to survive. But through all of that, it built character. It hardened me. It helped me to focus on the present and focusing on getting better by 1 degree each day, rather than relying on a steady paycheck like I had all the years before. Now, I am not by any means saying you should quit your job and go and do direct sales, because it's not for everybody. But what I can say is that you can learn from my experience and what I went through and hopefully apply it to your life so you could find purpose in what you're doing. I don't know. I just kind of had this on my mind because I don't know if it's you or if it's just me, but I've started to realize and started to notice that a lot of people are lacking purpose. We're glued to our phones all the time. We're watching other people live their lives and talk about things. We're watching the headlines. Celebrities did this, or this influential person did this or that. But at the end of the day, they're just people. They're just people trying to make it, trying to do what they want to do. But is there more? Is there more to life than just the headlines? Is there more to life than your next paycheck? Is there more to life than the bills that you have upcoming? Is there more than life? Is there more to life than that girl that you're trying to date? I think it is. I think that the majority of people who are going about their day-to-day lives don't stop and take a moment to just recognize and realize if what they're doing in the moment is what they actually want to do. And I think that's sad. I think that once you can have self-awareness and recognize what's going on around you, you can be more present in the conversations that you're having with people. You can actually draft up a plan and figure out what you actually want to do in your life. And then you can move towards that goal. It's my intention on this platform to provide you with information, knowledge, and also help you to improve your mentality so that you can get better results out of life. Part of me fulfilling my purpose now, more so than anything, is this platform, is this podcast, is me speaking directly to you and trying to help you reach your fullest potential. Because I'll tell you another thing about purpose. I think that once you stop making it all about you when it comes to life, That's when you can reach something beyond what happiness is. That's when you can reach something that's more impactful and true than happiness, because happiness is fleeting. If someone is just only seeking happiness, they're going to fail. It needs to be more than that. It needs to be deeper. What's deeper than happiness, you ask? What's deeper than happiness? Well, for me, I would like to say that to really reach the next level, you have to be fulfilled. You have to reach fulfillment. And that comes from serving other people, being present in the moment, and having purpose behind what you do. Something that you actually want to do, where you're adding value to people, where you're serving others, where you are fulfilled in what you're doing. And it's not just about monetary possessions. If you ask a lot of people who are very wealthy, once they attain all that wealth, it's going to make money for itself with the income compounding if you put it in an investment portfolio. At some point, it's more than just obtaining material things. We're not going to be able to take any of it with us when we leave. What remains after that? Why are we here? And that question has been in the back of my mind recently. Like I have this call and this pull to want to do more, say more, help people. And I'm not selling anything. I don't even have a course. I don't have, anything that I'm trying to sell you. And I wanted to share this with you. I was earlier this week, I was on my lunch hour and I was coming back from grabbing some food, and a young man stopped me on the street. And I really didn't recognize him at first, but then he said my name and he said hi to me. And it seems like he had fallen on some hard times and wasn't in the best shape as far as financially and what's going on with his life. But I stopped and I chopped it up with him. And I asked him how he was doing. And I could see in his face that he hadn't been doing the best, just from the trials and tribulations of life. But he told me, and I didn't even know that he was following. He said, I listened to your podcast, man, and it's really helped me. And it's helped me to get some more information about things I want to do. And he said he had been searching for new jobs and applying and thinking about getting into coding, thinking about doing some type of work where he can make more money. And I also encouraged him to think about trades. I encouraged him to think about things where he could use his skill set to get into a better situation financially, mentally, et cetera, et cetera. And before we parted ways, I asked him like where he stayed or whatever. And he said he had been living in the shelter. And that hit me because I grew up knowing this young man, and he's always been a very kind soul and somebody who has potential. And it does warm my heart to know that the information that I'm putting out is actually going to be helping people and actually helping them to reach their goals. This episode isn't about stats. This episode isn't about tangible, actionable steps. This is a lesson in mentality. This is, I hope, going to be cleansing and nurturing and soothing and able to build you up here in your mind. And I've had people before on my podcast or on my channel here say, speed it up. You're not talking fast enough. Come on. What are you doing? What's going on? And I've politely told them, this is just not for you then. I understand that content needs to be entertaining. I understand that you got to have value that you're adding back to people. But damn it, sometimes you just need to be real and get real. Sometimes you need to be like, look, you have to listen to me. You have to find what your purpose is in life. Not for anybody else. You have to find your purpose for you and nobody else. Listen, if you're happy with where you are, if you're content, great. But I'm speaking to the people who are not happy with their situation. And I've been there. You know, I've been laid off. I've been working jobs that I don't like, but I had to do it to get by. And I want to let you know that I know about that type of thing. I understand. I resonate with your struggle, and I want you to get out of it. But I know the first step to anybody getting out of the situation that they're in and becoming a productive person that's successful, that's able to provide for their family, able to, you know, break the chain and break the curse of all the obstacles and things that you've been going through. It starts here with your mentality. And sometimes that means you need to slow down, because so much content that comes out today is built just to keep your attention. But it's not built to actually nourish you where it matters, to have an actual interaction and a human connection. That's what I want to do. Sometimes we need to slow down, and we just need to figure out what we want. Does that make sense? I don't want to be like everybody else. It's not my intention to just entertain you with this. I'm trying to lift you up and build you up here. And I think that comes with building up an attention span first, being mindful and aware of what you're doing, and then drafting up a plan on where you want to go, what you want to do, and then moving towards that goal day by day. I have other content where we're going to be giving you actionable steps and a way to do that, and an approach on how to reach those goals. You can look at some of my other content on that. I had a great live stream that I did last week where we talked about skills, the importance of skills if you want to increase your income. But before you can do any of that, you have to change your mentality and your approach if you want to do better. Because I found a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people who are struggling have fallen into something I call the victim mentality, where they think that the reason why they're not where they want to be in life is because of somebody else, not because of their decisions or their lack of ambition or their circumstances. Look, I understand that Everybody has their different trials and tribulations that they do in life. But you allow yourself to stay there if you succumb to a mentality that says it's everybody else's fault. The reason why I'm not where I want to be is because of somebody else, is because of this, that, and that. No. The key to freeing yourself from the shackles that you're in when it comes to your mentality being constrained is you not taking ownership for what you can control. Hear me out. This is important. The moment you stop focusing solely on other people and the circumstances that you're in and not taking ownership for what you do, the quicker you do that, the quicker you can free yourself from the shackles of the victimhood that will keep you down because you're shackled in your mentality. What do you think the difference is from somebody who, there's a lot of people who are self-made millionaires. There's a lot of people who start companies every day. A lot of them fail. A lot of them fail. But there's also a lot of them that succeed. The only difference is the person's mentality. A lot of people who are successful entrepreneurs, business people, successful people in general, a lot of them fail multiple times before they ever reach any semblance of success. The only difference from them and the people who give up is that they refuse to succumb to their obstacles, circumstances. Their mentality is stronger. My mantra, and one of my mantras that I've always used when it comes to just my mentality when it comes to approaching things, is one of my favorite quotes by Bruce Lee. To hell with circumstances. I create my opportunities. To hell with circumstances. Create your opportunity, and you cannot fail. I hope this is making sense. If you're getting value out of this, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. For my audio podcast listeners, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening and rocking out with me. Do me a favor, if you enjoy the content and the podcast, rate and review the podcast, please. 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you consume podcasts. Okay. I'm going to be more active here on the podcast channel. And I am bringing a lot of content that has to do with improving your mentality. All right. How to increase your income. Also, how to be more productive when it comes to, if you want to just be a more successful person, if you want to be more aware, because I'm fascinated and I appreciate things like that. I'm curious and intrigued by people who are successful, who are productive, who know more than I do. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I don't claim to have all the answers. What is it that Sway said to Kanye? No, what did Kanye say to Sway? You ain't got the answers, Sway. You ain't got the answers. I ain't got all the answers, bruh. I don't have it. I don't claim to. However, I will get the answer and I'll figure out how something works and I'll focus on getting better by 1 degree each day. That's the mentality that I have. Put it on podcasting. I didn't know anything about podcasting when I first got started. I like podcasts, but here we go. We're now, a year and a half in, And I've produced hundreds of podcast episodes now. And I appreciate the craft. I appreciate telling stories. I appreciate expressing myself. And I think you can do the same with whatever you find purpose in. But you have to find your purpose in life. If you don't, then it's going to lack. You're going to lack that zest, that enthusiasm for life. And I don't want that for you. You were meant to do much more. I truly believe that. Especially if you're somebody that's here, you're still listening. That means you have an attention span. That means that you're somebody that I can resonate and relate to. Because first and foremost, this is a podcast. All right. I'm not going to try to be like nobody else. I'm not going to try to create, spectacle content or anything like that, because that's just not me. A little bit about me. I'm a regular. I like normal stuff. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of background inside baseball on me. I love documentaries. I'm a documentary snob. Netflix has some of the best documentaries you could ever watch. Okay, I like to. What the Health was really great. What is it? I just seen one recently. It was talking about the 13th. That one was really good. I like documentaries, man. The Explain series by Vox, stellar. I like to learn things. I'm constantly learning. If I'm not learning, I feel stagnant. Let me know let me know something that's a quirk for you. Let me know if what you like to watch. I'm a documentary guy. One of the best documentaries that I've ever watched was actually, can I say this was a documentary? Yeah, I can say it's a documentary because it's based on a true story. HBO Chernobyl. If you haven't watched the HBO series on Chernobyl, I think it's like 6 episodes. Stellar. It's about the Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster that happened in Kiev. Must watch. Okay. But that's a little bit of background on me. Give you a little nugget, a little inside baseball. But I say all of that to say, let me get it back home. This episode was about finding your purpose, finding your passion. And it's important to do that to really make life something that's worth living, worth I always say if you're indifferent or you don't have purpose, that's when people kind of start to engage in some destructive behaviors. A lot of people who don't have purpose, they don't realize that that's the issue with a lot of the things that they do to sabotage themselves and to sabotage their lives. And I don't want that for you. One of the best things that ever happened to me was being uncomfortable for a moment and not really having that certainty of not knowing what was going on. And when I was backed against the wall, I didn't know where my next check was going to come from. I was going and knocking on doors and trying to make it happen when it came to money because my money was running thin. I actually was at peace. I found peace in that discomfort. Can you believe that? Why did I find peace in that discomfort? Because I had no choice but to be very aware of what was going on and to make it happen. I think that's what happens to anybody when they find purpose. It doesn't feel like work when you're doing something. Yeah, it's hard and it's not always a great day, but when you know you're doing something that you're meant to do, you kind of get that glint in your eye and you're like, yo, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I think that's what's happening with me right now. And I'm so excited about it. And I'm looking forward to adding more value to you guys here on this platform. And I also want to make sure that I am like, let me know in the comments. Let me know when you are like consuming more content that I have going on and stuff like that, that you let me know in the comments. Let me know. I'm on social, Instagram, TikTok, everything. Let me know what you're thinking about the podcast. If you have any ideas on things that you want me to cover, but I'm leaning into this productivity and it's been great. Just check. Last time I did one of these lives, it had been wild, man. I actually, I did a live, little inside baseball too. I did a live, like, was it last week? And I was recording it, doing everything that I needed to do. And then come to find out, I didn't, unmute. I checked my vocals at the beginning of the live and I muted it. And I went for like 20, 25 minutes. I was going in. I was really feeling it animated. It was a great episode. I looked down at my mixer. It was still muted. So I had talked for like 20, 25 minutes and I had to start it over. I didn't even do it that day. I just bounced. I was heated at that point, but I wasn't going to let that deter me. I still laid down the episode the next day, and it was one of the better episodes that I've ever created. I say all of that to say that you need to find your purpose, because once you find your purpose, you will have that marker to go after, to go towards. And it's not about gaining money. It's not about gaining notoriety. It's not about gaining vanity metrics. No, it's about more than that. It's about impacting other people. All right. Being fulfilled, truly fulfilled. And I think that comes from finding your purpose, no matter what that is. I look forward to seeing and hearing and, observing what you create. And anybody who, I lost my train of thought there, but that's okay. Give myself some grace there. More so than anything, and I'll kind of put a bow on it with this. More so than anything, don't let anybody tell you that you should just be happy with where you are if that's not what you want. Don't let anybody tell you that you should just be happy with where you are if that's not what you want. If you have a dream, if you have a passion, if you want something, then go after it. You're going to fail on the way. But I'd rather have you do that and fall forward going towards something you want to do than staying stagnant in the current situation that you're in and not progressing. Because you know what they always say? You know what's one of the worst things ever? You know what's one of the worst things ever? Is when somebody has the potential to do something great and they squander that opportunity. You have potential to do something great. Don't squander your opportunity just because you're indifferent and you don't have direction and you don't have purpose. That's a lost opportunity. I've been saying, and I've been putting everything through this lens lately, and it's been working wonders for me, and hopefully it'll help you out. Oliver Berkman, author, created a book called 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. And in that book, the grand theme of it all is everybody who lives a full life has 4,000 weeks. That's it. 4,000 weeks to live. There's 52 weeks in a year. 4,000 weeks to live. Okay? If you're around 37, 38, you're nearly halfway there. What are you going to do with the next 2,000 weeks to make life something that's fulfilling for you, that's nourishing for you, where you help other people and not just yourself? I'll put a bow on the episode with that. We need to be more intentional about how we spend our time, about the interactions that we have with people, because one of the most beautiful things about life is time and our moments with people. Time is not finite. It's the most valuable resource in this world. Don't waste your time. Don't do that. Use your time to impact others, to add value to the world, and in turn, you will be fulfilled. Trust me. 4,000 weeks. What you going to do this week to make sure that you are making the most of your life? Don't do it for me. Don't do it for somebody else. Do it for you. Self-made Rish, how you been? Shout out to you. Actually, shout out to you. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being a supporter to the channel. I really appreciate you. Positive vibes to you. Yes, we are leaning into productivity, mentality. So to recap this episode, we talked about why you need purpose. All right. I went into a story talking about some trials and tribulations that I had me knocking on doors after I got laid off. But you know what? I'm grateful for that time because it helped me to find my purpose. It helped me to realize that in life, it's not about your circumstances, the obstacles that you face, trials and tribulations you've been through. It's how you respond to it and move forward after that. And lastly, I want you to find purpose in what you're doing, because that's when you'll find something that's deeper and more important than happiness. You'll find fulfillment. And hopefully you'll build a legacy and you'll be remembered beyond just this time we have right now. So that's my message to you. I hope you found value out of this. Do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel for the YouTube algorithm. And like I say every time, here at the Carrot Juice Podcast, observe society. No, that's my beginning intro. Say that again. Like I say every time here at the Carrot Juice Podcast, love someone, hug someone, do something good for someone, not expecting anything in return. And until next time, peace. We are gone.